The Last of Us Part 2 has amazing gameplay. The game is so mechanically interesting with a fun and addicting gameplay cycle within the survivor horror genre. And this game just excels above most other games within not only this genre, but most third-person action games in general. The combat in this has something for everyone. Exhilarating hand-to-hand combat, challenging third-person shooting, a very intelligent stealth system, but the game just feels good, so it keeps you coming back for more.
I wish there could possibly be some side mode where I don't have to watch this silly story about revenge bad. Well, it's a good thing that The Last of Us Part 2 Remastered comes with a new side mode to show us that revenge might actually be good.
No Return is described as an intense roguelike where you choose your own path through different encounters. This mode is purely gameplay focused, challenging you to survive 5 randomized encounters that increasingly get more difficult with the many different challenges that will be thrown at you.
This mode originally came out for the PS5, but due to the fact that it's a PlayStation 5, not everyone can get their hands on it. And with the PlayStation 6 on the way, what's the point? Quick tangent.
When The Last of Us Part 1 remake came out for PC, it was pretty buggy. So I was reasonably skeptical when the remastered version of a game that came out like 5 years ago was announced. But then when it was announced for PC, it all makes sense now. And when I actually booted up the game, it was surprisingly not glitchy. Of course, there were some bugs here and there, but what can you do?
But now I can finally introduce No Return.
Within this mode, death is permanent. If you fail at any point of the run, you will lose all of your weapons, items, and upgrades you've obtained during your run. And you have to reset with a fresh set of new scenarios. Besides Ellie and Abby, you are able to play as 10 new characters by unlocking them via different challenges and working your way up the list of characters. Characters you can expect to play as are Dina, Jesse, Tommy, Joel, Lev, Yara, Manny, and Mel.
Why on earth would I want to play as Mel?
You're gonna get it out. What?
But now I can finally introduce No Return.
With the announcement of this remaster for PC, they also revealed 2 new characters from The Last of Us Part 1, Bill and Marlene. I felt a little underwhelmed that all these characters are just reskinned Ellie or Abby, but with different models and voice lines slapped on top, along with unique traits moved around to change the playstyles of each character. For example, Joel, Tommy, and Bill all play like Abby. Same attacks and animation, so it just kind of feels wrong seeing old man Joel move around like a 20-year-old girl. But the one caveat is that these characters are supposed to resemble Part 1's combat, and so they decided to remove the ability to dodge. This makes it so as when you're playing as the old man, you're more vulnerable to hand-to-hand combat by melee opposition. And even sometimes, you can be backed into a corner and stun locked. This decision forces these characters to rely more on their loadouts rather than hand-to-hand combat. But they're all made to be a bit more resistant to melee attacks, so this can help a bit with the unfair odds. But I totally didn't download a mod that allowed me to dodge as these guys.
What can also help is subscribing to the channel so we can find more Last of Us fans to bond over the game with. I kind of became a Last of Us channel, so I guess stay tuned for more Last of Us. The gameplay cycle in this mode is actually pretty satisfying.
Like, you start a run in a cozy hideout with either the radio room where Ellie and Dina stalked Abby's group, or in Abby's faction, you get to roam a bit of Owen's festive aquarium lookout. Both have crafting benches and trading posts where you can purchase guns, supplies, weapons, gadgets, and crafting recipes, with the option to refresh the options if you don't like what you see. And when you're playing as Jesse, you get to refresh as many times as you want. But when you start an encounter, that's where the real fun begins. Depending on the challenge, you get a limited amount of time to run around and scavenge, to prepare yourself with as much resources as possible before you are sent waves of enemies to stop you.
Oh, jeez.
The enemy variety is different with each encounter. Sometimes you'll face infected, sometimes you'll face the WLF, and other times, Seraphites. Each character comes with various ways to deal with these foes, due to every character having a different loadout. For example, Ellie is supposed to be the balanced character. So she gets to start off with a pistol and a Molotov, along with the Molotov cocktail crafting recipe, which is a quick high damaging burst option to take care of groups of foes. While Lev is equipped with an upgraded bow that comes with a quicker withdrawal speed to aid his stealthy gameplay. This is how the game is able to make these characters vary from each other. Like, Manny might play similar to other brawlers, but what makes him different is that he comes with the Huntsman's pistol and the semi-automatic assault rifle, with the Huntsman pistol basically being a one-shot to most enemies, which makes him such a powerful character in earlier runs. But he can't craft any medkits, so you'll have to buy them at the trading post, or find them as you're scavenging around. It helps with balancing each character, and for some characters they have to get creative for how they're going to make the character unique. Like for Dina, when designing her, they took a line she said about Eugene teaching her how to tinker with trinkets.
Plus, he taught me about rewiring electronics and stuff.
And so, in No Return, she's shifty, so she's able to craft stun bombs and trap mines as soon as you start a run. Bill comes equipped with a custom revolver that can shoot up to 12 rounds. I guess he just built differently. And wields an upgraded wooden plank, along with one free shiv and the shiv upgrade branch and shiv recipe. One thing I don't understand about Joel in this is that he doesn't have the Molotov recipe. This is due to the fact that he's supposed to be modeled after Abby. But I feel like for Joel, they should at least make an exception. I really like playing as Yara due to her having Lev as a companion within each encounter. And her skill tree just improves Lev's lethality. It really helps that Lev is carrying a bow, which is a one-shot kill weapon. Other characters may carry pistols, shotguns, and rifles. But overall, the AI companions are really helpful for taking out extra enemies and help alert you for enemies you may not see. And sometimes they can even get you out of sticky situations. So having a companion along with you in any encounter is always helpful. However, one small issue. Your companion also comes with their own health bar, and sometimes they may get ambushed while you're not close enough, which causes you to lose your entire run. Hate it when it happens you're on a freaking daily run. Oh my god, that's a story for later in the video. There's also just no way to heal them, so when they start to lose health, it's like a ticking time bomb for you to save them as quickly as possible.
Each character has to earn different weapons and skill trees and various crafting recipes by completing randomized challenge that rewards you with rewards. I love how the level selection is represented by Polaroid pictures of the battlefield and with information on the side, with the different types of enemies, the encounter type, and mods.
The different encounters you can find yourself playing through can be Assault, where you are put against waves of enemies. Capture, in which you have to find and unlock a safe that's guarded by enemies. Holdout, where you and a helpful companion helps out in defending yourselves against swarming infected. And Hunted, where you need to survive as long as you can before the timer runs out. If you can make it to the end of a run, which is quite difficult, you'll be put against one of the 6 different bosses from The Last of Us Part 2 story or special enemies. By the end of each encounter, no matter if you won or lost, you'll be given a score and a rank based on how you did. If you've seen my video where I explain how games are able to make themselves replayable, you understand that giving players scoreboards and rankings immediately helps add hours to your playtime. And yeah, wow, there is hours to my playtime. Your rank is decided by specific actions during your run. Like, you'll be rewarded for perfect accuracy and punished for taking too much damage. Basically, if you do good and you do it quickly, you'll probably be given a good score. Your score doesn't really matter if you're just playing a normal run or a custom run, but your score will come into play when you're doing a daily run.
Daily runs is how you test your skill globally, but sadly, it's no Last of Us factions. We can't be that lucky. But you are given one character to play as and one try to achieve the perfect run. But you are given one character and one try. Every player globally will face the exact same encounters depending on your pathing.
Some days you have your own John Wick moments where you feel practically unstoppable and end up with a good place on the leaderboard. But on other days,
that freaking sucked.
There are many different ways you can rack up your score, though some are obvious. Like you can get a lot of points for completing an encounter for under 3 minutes, but anything past that will decrease the amount you receive. Daily runs refresh every 24 hours, so you really need to put your all into each encounter without biting the dust. After your run is wrapped up, you'll be presented by an online leaderboard full of other players with different scores that updates as soon as someone ends a run. So one moment I'll be top 10 of all time, but the next I could be top 50 of players. But sadly, some days the top positions could be taken up by players who may be hacking. But oh well, I guess.
Something to make each encounter slightly different is with the mods and gambits. With mods being randomized effects that happen to your mission. There's different mods like thick fog that would take over the map. Melee attacks may apply a fire effect.
Enemies dropping pipe bombs when they die. Tripwires around the battlefield. Bottles that fly near you to attract your enemies. And even mirror mode.
But whatever you do, avoid invisible enemies. You don't understand scary until you have to find a clicker just based off the clicks. And don't get me started on how many times I've accidentally meleeed a shambles.
There are a lot of variations that really add up to the whole experience to keep each run fresh. I really like the mods vaulting to boost movement speed, melee kills to restore health, stealth kills to boost movement speed, and time limit. And with gambits, they add an extra challenge where you are able to gain more supplies by completing special challenges. Kill enemies with 3 different weapons, successfully dodge 3 times, stun enemies with a brick or a bottle, kill an enemy while holding another hostage, kill an enemy with a headshot. There's just a lot of different ways for you to kill your enemies in special ways for extra supplies and health. But they definitely help make each counter unique. One of the gambits actually finally rewards me for constantly shooting enemies below their knees by making it a challenge to do this 3 times, and it feels very satisfying.
There's also different challenges that you can complete to obtain different rewards.
Like unlocking characters, obtaining different skins for each character, unlocking bosses, and various tiers of gambits and different mods.
Something that I thought was cool that the Last of Us Part 2 campaign did was in the Santa Barbara chapter, which introduced this faction called the Rattlers, which were slave owners?
And besides the most evil faction in the story, they introduced chained up clickers that you were able to sneak up behind and release on the Rattlers. It was cool because the AI on AI battles are not only interesting to watch the 2 enemies fight each other, but it was helpful to watch as the clickers mow down the Rattlers, while you're able to get the jump on stray enemies. It was sadly introduced at the end of the story with only 2 opportunities to try it out. So, in no return, there are some chained up clickers randomly scattered around the battlefield in some encounters, and even gambits that advise you to set some free.
No Return is the mode I wish The Last of Us Part 2 always had.
When I wanted to play the game for the gameplay, I would have to play the same old encounters that are in the game's story.
So it was not only nice being introduced to other sites in the game, but also other characters to play as. A couple quick complaints though.
There's a couple of locations that are missing, like the Tilted Towers in Abby's Day 1, both patrol sections in the Jackson chapter. I think even Abby's Day 3 is full of amazing battlegrounds, and most of them are not even included. Heck, actually give us more of Abby's levels, like the aquarium, or the hotel full of infected, or the hostile territory would have been fun with all the glass to break.
I would have loved to see Joel with his Last of Us Part 1 animations and finishers. It's a little thing, but it kind of just makes sense. I would have also loved if the companions and your character had a bit more to say in the intermission parts. I feel like for a game that has such a focus on characters talking to each other, it kind of feels wrong that their conversations are just randomized pre-recorded lines.
Thank you. I would have been happy to hear a couple of fan service dialogue, like Joel and Ellie talking about how well she's gotten at hunting, or at least some real chemistry between the characters like they do in the game's story.
But hey, maybe I'm asking for too much. If they ever decide to add 2 more characters, I would love to see Tess and Owen.
I'm not sure what Tessa's unique traits would be, but I would love if she had Abby's ability to save herself when she gets grabbed by clickers and infected. And for Owen, it would be awesome if he came with a dog companion and got more as you upgrade him. Naughty Dog has successfully made a really addicting roguelike side mode, and it just comes to show how expertly done the combat in this game is done. I've already clocked just so many hours into this mode. It's already more from previous in the video.
Now I can finally avoid sobbing over the story, and now I can focus on how revenge is actually good. And can Yara stop dying, please?